All right, so today we're looking at circumference. So circumference, as someone said, is the perimeter of the circle. So we don't generally say the perimeter of a circle, we'll say the circumference. So it is actually just the distance as if you ran around like the edge of the circle, okay? So that is what circumference is. Now when we talk about circles, and we have some formulas for our circles, we will talk about, they'll use the word radius. Now the radius is the distance where you go from the center out to the edge. That's the radius. So down here on this diagram, the radius is from the center out to the edge. So radius. If you have the diameter, so you'll see the diameter is going through the whole, it goes through the center from one side to the other. That's the diameter. Okay? So essentially the diameter is made up of two radiuses, isn't it? So if you went from the center, if you had a circle and you went from the center that way, that would be one radius. If you went the other way, there's another. So that's how we can say the diameter is the same as two radiuses. Okay? So we've got some formulas for the circumference of a circle, and one formula is the circumference equals 2 times pi times r. So on your calculator, you'll do 2 times the pi button times the r button. Now I like to use this one because all your other circle formulas that you'll use later on, you have to use the radius. So best to just always use the radius. But if you look here, because we've got 2r there, we know 2r is the same as the diameter. So you could write the circumference as just pi times d. Yeah, because 2r's equal the diameter. But I would prefer you to always use the radius because it'll help you. You have to use the radius for area formulas and other formulas. So we don't want to accidentally not do the correct thing. So if we use the radius every time, we'll be fine. Okay? So they're just mentioning now, we mentioned the formula has pi. Pi is simply, it is a number, approximately 3.142. So it's a number they found, a mathematician found, but it's a button on your calculator. And if you look at your calculator, you can see that it's down in the alphabet part, just next to the H. If you can see a pi. If you press on that, it brings up a few symbols, but pi is the first one, and you'll click that. Okay, so when they ask us to find the circumference of these two circles, the first step you're going to do is write what the radius is. So this one is, radius is 5 meters. Then I want you to write the formula. So our formula for circumference is 2 pi r. Then you're going to write 2 times pi and write what the radius actually is, which is 5. And then you can pop that on your calculator and get the answer. So we'll do that now. Okay, so we've done this on the calculator and we got 31.4159, but because it said 2 decimal places up there, I'm going to look at the third one. Because that is 5 and above, the second decimal place will go up, so it becomes 31.42, and the measurement was meters. So there's the circumference and in the meters. Okay, so in the next one in part B, it's asking us to find the circumference. Now, because the radius would actually be half of the diameter, but in this case, I'm okay with you using the formula circumference equals pi times d, because that's the only thing they're asking. If they've given you the diameter, probably safer not to be halving that number and making errors. Yeah? Okay? So instead of that, so we can just go the circumference equals pi times the diameter, which is 4.85, and this is going to be in centimeters. So let's go do that on the calculator and check. All right, so we got 15.8 2, 3, 6, 7. And once again, because we had 2 decimal places, we looked at the third and we saw that it was above 5, so it becomes 15.24, and it was measured in centimetres, so I need to pop the units, and I'm just boxing my final answer. Alright. Okay, so find the perimeter of this composite shape. So composite shape just means when you've got a couple of shapes together. So you can see we've got a rectangle or square, and then we've added a quarter of a circle, so it makes it a composite shape. Now they want the perimeter of this shape. So the perimeter is just the outer edges of all of that. Okay, so if we have a look and it said at this, so these 2 lines here indicate that that length is 3. So then this length is 3, this length here is 3, and this is also 3. So the only bit that I don't know and I need to work out is this bit here. Okay, now if I drew a circle and I split it like this, would you agree that that bit looks like a quarter of the circle? Yeah? And would you agree that this from here to here is the radius? Yeah? So in this scenario here, if we look down and we're going to find the blue bit, so we're finding this curve bit, what do you think the radius of that circle, that original circle, was?
3.
Excellent, it's 3, isn't it? It's that bit there, okay? So the radius is 3. So how much of the full circle have we got? How much of this circle have we got? Yeah, so if you only want a quarter of the circumference, what you're saying is I want a quarter of the circumference. Okay, so how do I find that? When you have the word of, that actually just means times. So I'm going to do a quarter times the circumference, which I know, is 2 times pi times r. That's the formula for circumference. So I'm going to do a quarter times 2 times the pi button, and you've already told me that the radius is 3. So we'll do that on our calculator and we'll find out what this blue bit is. So we've done that on the calculator and we got 4.71239, but it did say 2 decimal places, so I'll round this bit to 2 decimal places, so 4.171. So what I did is I looked at this third number, it was under 5, so it remains the same, so it's 4.71. So now I know that this little bit up here is, the blue bit, is 4.71. So we need to find the total perimeter now. So now we've got all the bits and we'll do that. Okay, so with the total perimeter, so we have, just so you understand, we've got the 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So I did all these 3's and then I'm adding that 4.71. So what do we get? 16.71. And it was, let's look at the units, centimetres. Beautiful. And there's our answer. Okay?